Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we've got our play-up props here for you on a big old NBA Wednesday. 14 games on the slate after we only had 5 there on Tuesday night. Obviously, taking a break ahead of Thanksgiving as well. We have our player props in this one, as I said. Also, a best bets video up. Continue to follow along and check both of those out each and every weekday this season. Subscribe to that page if you would. We also have thelines.com, the site that we are doing this with, and they have a great odds finder tool on there. I would send you over there. Make sure you're getting the best juice available to you from all of these books, giving us bets this season. Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first player prop. I do also want to say we are off on Friday, but check out the NFL Coast to Coast Player Props podcast. That will be up on Friday with all our plays for Sunday and Monday Night Football.
And we've got our Thanksgiving plays for the NFL. If you are checking this out on Wednesday, get those bets in. But yeah, I love this first pick here for NBA Wednesday. Santi Aldama, 25.5 points, rebounds, assists, or just 15.5 points if you don't. But I mean, he is getting the peripheral stats right now. And I will say quarter unit on the double-double, which he's done twice in a row here, played 37.5 minutes per game in his last 2 after breaking out in a blowout loss to the Lakers. I think Taylor Jenkins and company were like, this is probably the guy we need right now. I mean, he wasn't healthy early in the season, but now with Xavier Tillman out, obviously Adams and Brandon Clark are out long-term, and Jaren Jackson is just needs help down low. He's just not going to man the paint by himself. Santi Aldama, though, like his offensive game is great. He's a 6'11" guy who can take you off the bounce, who can hit threes, and who can get on the offensive glass. And he just, one of few guys to score 25 against the Celtics this season, right? He's coming off a game where he took 27 shots, took 15 threes. With Marcus Smart out, Memphis's offense is in even more dire straits and looking for like a hub to play through. And it's been him, like assist rate 35%, then 13%, then 31% in his last 3, averaging 23 points, 9 rebounds, 4.3 assists. Really high defensive rebounding rate. We're talking about a Rockets team that while they're good defensively, they're not very great on offense. They're 19th in effective field goal, which is why opponents get the 8th most defensive rebounds against them. And they've shown some lapses here since they went on that 6-game win streak. Then they had an entire week off. Their last 3, 115 defensive rating, giving up a ton of free throws, 29 free throws per game. Just gave up 21 threes to your Dubs and the Splash Bros. But more importantly, they let Dario Saric go off for 18, 5, and 2 in just like 25 minutes. And if you want to think about like a stronger, faster, younger, better shooting version of Dario Saric, let me introduce you to Santiago Aldama.
Love the play. Couple quick things. No name in the NBA is more fun to say than Santi Aldama. Although Adam Sanogo is giving him a run for his money as well. But more importantly, you also didn't mention Bismack in there, probably for good reason, because the impact is low on Bismack's part right now. Has not helped out Triple J the way that they would hope somebody would be able to behind him. But anyway, I like the pick a lot, and I'm huge friend of the show in Santi Aldama. So I'm going back to the well on Vooch unders, and I think we found a show favorite because I think we're both looking at the same thing, first of all, which is an aging star whose name elicits like over bets on a lot of different, stats and points and things. But the line hasn't caught up with the fact that this ain't the same dude. And he's going up against Chet Holmgren. So I'm very excited to talk to you about the Church of Chet Holmgren right now and why I'm taking Vooch under 30.5 points, rebounds, and assists in this game. OKC limits centers to the 10th fewest points per game. Simple stat right there. They do allow the second most rebounds. Vooch had a 9 against him last game, which was the first game of the season for these two teams. And that was in Chicago. So now we're in OKC in this one. But Vooch has gone under in 4 straight. 11 of the 15 games that he's played this season, he's gone under 31 points, rebounds, and assists. And taking a quick look at the 4 times that he went over this, he played Detroit with no Jalen Duren, so that's just goes from a really good defensive team down low to a turnstile with Marvin Bagley down there. Dallas allows the most points per game to centers, did it against them. Went over against Milwaukee, dug into it, loves playing Milwaukee. Not sure why or how it happens with a team that is so good against limiting centers and things down low as well. But he's got 21 points, 13 boards, and 4 assists in his last 4 against the Milwaukee Bucks. 3 with Chicago, 1 with Orlando, and then Phoenix, where he's actually done really well against Nurk in his career as well. So 4 of those games, I have pretty solid explanations for why he went over. And now he's playing the team that limits points in the paint to the tune of the 4th fewest. That's during their 5-game win streak. And on the season, they're also 6th best there. Vooch also needs to score via assists. An interesting point there that is definitely hurting him is like nobody setting him up. Because I'll tell you right now, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are not looking to set him up. And Alex Caruso, not actually really a point guard. I'd consider him more of a small forward than anything, who happens to be short, not someone who's necessarily running your offense. So there's really no one there. They're dead last in assist percentage, yet Vooch requires 72% of his field goals that he makes to be assisted. So it's just not a great percentage when they're not getting that many assists off, because they're not really running a smooth offense. It's super choppy, as we've talked about. How good is Chet's defense? This is where we all pray at the altar of Chet. Right now, he is a second lowest defensive field goal percentage of any starting center in the league, and really any center at this point in the league. And he has the 8th most defensive field goals attempted against him, which is so awesome and perfect that this skinny, goofy white dude with a big old beard is just hanging around down low with his like shoulders right here in a way that these dudes are like, oh, I'm going to eat on this kid. And he's like, I'm nasty, so come at me. You know what I mean? And he's got, like I said, the second lowest field goal percentage allowed when people are coming at him. So meanwhile, he's shooting 49%. So the field goal percentage that he's allowing people to shoot down around 40. And the difference between that and his 49% is best in the league. Nobody has a better differential between how they're shooting and how much they're limiting their guys against him. And he's top 20 in limiting field goal percentage right around the rim as well, which is good. I mean, he's got to get better right at the rim, but he times it perfectly. And Vooch is someone who's shooting. He's 5th in terms of field goal frequency right around the inside the paint as well. So like we know he's going to keep shooting from there. That's where Chet's good. I like him to keep having success against Vooch like he did in the last game.
You dug deep on this one. I appreciate it. I mean, I was this close to taking Chet over, but his numbers are really high right now. I mean, he has kind of seen a spike with Jalen Williams out the last 2 games in terms of usage, but 18.5 points. I do think, he's going to get the better of this matchup on both ends, like you're saying, by the numbers. I might just go with under points for Vooch. What is it, 17.5 or so? Because I mean, he can walk into 13 rebounds sometimes. I mean, if OKC's not hitting, like there's nobody else on the Bulls. Alex Caruso is starting at power forward sometimes. If they don't want to play Pat Williams, he's their power forward, not a point guard. So Vooch has got to board up for sure. But I found something I like more, which is Pacers inflation. And let's take a score on the other side. Pascal Siakam, 21.5 points against this Pacers team that is just a fantastic over machine right now, coming off that 309 total with the Hawks, where everybody got everything. Jalen Johnson, the star of our player props last night, had 3 assists in the first quarter to get you plus 140 return there. But Pascal, I mean, you could tack on some peripherals if you want. I just think he's going to get buckets here against a team that gives up the 3rd most points per game to power forwards. That's why we were targeting Jalen Johnson, because Obi Toppin is probably the weakest link defensively for a Pacers team that doesn't really play defense in general, plays at the fastest pace in the league, and will just outscore you. But on a back-to-back, they've done it twice this year, and they've allowed 125 a game, including the massive Giannis game, where Giannis had 54. Siakam not quite as unstoppable going to the rim, but he is a good attacking power forward. Their other back-to-back, they lost a 125-124 to Charlotte, and allowed big outputs to PJ Washington, Mark Williams, Gordon Hayward, like whoever wants it can get it. Like this is a team that you want to target for your overs, obviously. And Siakam has been eating against them. His last 3 against Indy, nearly 27 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, 7 assists. So I'm fine with the peripherals bet here too. It's 12.5 for a little bit of plus money. Because he does actually see nice peripheral stats when OG Anunoby's in there. Better team offense for the Raptors. Assists might go up, but I've seen his points spike so dramatically when he's played bad defenses recently, like Dallas and Washington. I believe 70 points in those 2 matchups. Also a nice 23-23 against Boston, Detroit. And then he goes under against, teams that are really stout on the interior, like Orlando or something, or Miami. But I mean, that is not the case with the Indiana Pacers. They are happy to get in the track meet with guys like Siakam.
Yeah, and this team loves playing in transition. Siakam is great in transition. This is a great find. I'm with you on Pascal. I'm gonna definitely actually hit that as soon as we're off. I did not look at Pascal. I didn't really look at that game. It wasn't up much when I was looking either with all the Pacers players. Props not yet, but anyway, finishing things off. I kind of hinted towards it in best bets. Malik Beasley. It's low. It's 8.5 points. I understand his usage could be higher, but it's gone up as well. And this is going to be a little bit of game theory for why I like him to be the recipient of a lot of kickouts because of the fact that this Boston defense is so good down low and will force Giannis to have to pass by just collapsing on him down low. So Malik Beasley over 8.5 points. Over the last 5 games, he started every game, and that's a big part of this. He's the starting shooting guard now because he was always supposed to be that, but there were a few games where he was hurt a little bit, and then he was coming back and only got 21, 22 minutes here and there. But his last 5, like he solidified his place as like the dude that they need on the perimeter shooting when they play these types of games, especially where Giannis does not have as much of a free path to the rim as he might against a Washington Wizard team. So in the last 5, he's averaged 30. His usage is up to 15%. He's got great on-off numbers as well. The defensive rating when he's on the floor right now up about 107.5. And when he's on the floor, the offensive rating 118.5. That's over the last 5 since he was starting. 55% from 3. Do I think that will hold? I do not. But does it mean that a hot shooter that it can get hot for a while is going to probably be continuing to stay hot? Yeah, I think so. So I'll take him to keep that up. The 3-point shooting versus Boston, I mentioned it in the last video. You have to score from there. Against Boston, you have to shoot from 3. You have to shoot well, especially to beat them, to be honest. I mean, even if they are not shooting well, their defense collapses down on the paint so much, not limiting teams to the 4th fewest paint points right now on the season. And just, yeah, that who could have predicted that Papa Al having such a great shot blocker like Kristaps behind him would work out really well at defending the painted area. So that's where they're most vulnerable is from 3. They funnel those shots out there, allowing the 10th most attempts and the 8th most makes. So I'm sorry, the 8th most attempts and the 10th most makes. So still shooting pretty well from there for teams that are finding themselves open as the Bucks have now found some ball movement. Like I do believe that this offense is going to be a little bit more steady moving forward. And really, there's nobody else to really take over this position as much as Beasley has taken it over. Chris Middleton's only at 21 minutes a game right now. He's still not going to be playing up to full speed yet, and is actually coming off the bench at times when they like him there playing with the second unit. And even when he starts, he's sort of staying in with the second unit and not playing as much towards the end. So Beasley's getting plenty of 4th quarter minutes is what I would also say to end this thing. If this game is close down the stretch, he's averaging 7 minutes in the 4th since he got into that starting lineup and stayed there. So he should be in there, like I said, the recipient of a bunch of open looks. And if he's got about 5 or 6 3-point attempts in this game, then I'm going to feel good about him getting 9 points.
Yeah, maybe the 3rd most important player for the Bucks right now,
right.
Which we've been talking about early in the season. On Monday, you were talking about Giannis assists against a Washington defense that was going to funnel things out, and I said let's correlate that with Beasley to hit 3 threes. That's exactly what he got. If he gets 3 threes, he gets to 9 points here, and yeah, I don't think the Celtics allow many corner threes, which is good because he's more of an above the break shooter. But they are going to be, if they don't have a good individual defender for Giannis necessarily, they have last lines of defense. So they're going to build the wall like everybody does against Giannis. And that means kick it out. Bucks got to make him pay with some good shooting.
Yep. If he burns us by going on an over 5 or 6, what are you going to do? But he should have some good luck.
Or pulls his groin in the first 5 minutes like Cam Reddish.
That should have been voided. The Cam Reddish bet was brutal. The Keontae George bet was brutal. Dude, I counted 8 potential assists, 4 bunnies at the rim for John Collins. John Collins, you are on the ban list, my friend. You're ruining our bets out here. Yeah. Not a big deal. We press on for Wednesday, baby. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. That is all the time we have for you. Continue to follow along. We got the NFL play-up props up for you, like we said on Friday. Also have the Wednesday ones for you so you can get those Thursday bets in, and Black Friday as well with that Jets and Dolphins game. So happy sports watching, happy betting, and until we see you next, happy betting.